Good morning, friends. It is Thursday, April the 9th, and I got to visit with a few of you guys concerning over Zoom concerning your quizzes. And I think hopefully the videos that I uploaded from I think it was like Nerd Help or something like that. I think those videos were very helpful. So if you're still struggling with the ambiguous case, I do recommend that you go watch those videos and really follow along for that ambiguous case. Otherwise, I think everybody's doing okay. Make sure when you input into WebAssign for your quizzes, especially in the ambiguous case, make sure that you read which case they want you to put it in. So do they want the larger A value in one case and the larger and the smaller A value in another case? Because sometimes a couple of people have those flip-flopped. They do count them wrong, but you do have the right answer. They just, the way they input them. So just be sure to read what they want you to input and where and what they're finding. So you do have another WebAssign quiz today over law of cosines. So hopefully everybody felt successful about that law of sines, and maybe they're feeling a little more success as far as the class goes. Again, chapter 3 is that valley. Again, I do encourage you to go back over your chapter 3 test if you want to go through it with me. I don't mind that at all. You are welcome to, we can Zoom and go through your test and work problems out. We will see it again on the final from chapter 3, so know that that information is not going away. So, okay, so today we want to look at the law of cosines and area. So law of cosines is for when you have side angle side and side, side, side. Okay, side, angle, side, or side, side, side. So if you have side, angle, side, that means that you are going to find a side first that corresponds to the angle that you're given. So you would use the formulas on the left, okay, if you have side, angle, side. Now, if you're given side, 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 okay, so all of your sides, then you're going to find an angle first. And so you want to choose from the equations on the right-hand side, the ones that are cosine A, cosine B, and cosine C to find those angles. Okay, so the ones on the right find angles, the ones on the left find sides. And basically they're the same formula. I just solved for cosine, okay, to make it a little bit easier. Now the cosine, the angle ones are not on your green sheet, but there is a space on your green sheet to add them. So you are more than welcome to do that, to have all this in one place. Now, here's the key, and make sure to look at the note. If you're given side, 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 and this is very important, okay? If you're given side, 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 you must find the angle associated with the longest side first. Because remember, the longest side corresponds to the largest angle. Longest side corresponds to the largest angle. Now, the reason for this is the great thing about the law of cosines is it will give you an obtuse angle. So it will give you your largest angle. So once you've found your largest angle, then you can switch to the law of sines and continue using the law of cosines. But you want to find, if you're given side, 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 you want to find your largest angle first, and it will always correspond to the longest side. Okay, so this first one. So find the missing information using law of cosines. So the information you're given 3 sides. So side, side, side. They're doing construction work out here, so you may hear a backhoe in the back. They're putting in some new concrete and drainage. So we're progressing still at Northwestern, but we're also social distancing. Okay, so you must have side, side, side. And so again, remember, you must figure out, okay, which one's the longest side? So in this case, A is the longest side. So that means that we want to find angle A first. Okay, angle A first. So we want to use the cosine of A formula. So it's A squared minus B squared minus C squared divided by negative 2BC. Now, when you put this into your calculator, I highly encourage you to put all the top in parentheses and then divide and all the bottom in parentheses. Okay, I think I'm going to do a video on how to put these into your calculator because there's always usually a lot of calculator error on these just by inputting it into the calculator. So you should get the cosine of A is equal to 0.2821, something like that. Now, remember, we just want A, so this is where we again have to think about our inverse cosine. How do we get angles? Inverses give us angles. So we want to take the inverse of both sides. So the inverse cosine of your answer, and you should get A to be 73.62. Now, because we know 73.62 is our largest angle, we can switch to the law of sines from there. I personally still like the law of cosines, so I went ahead and did, just for practice, the law of cosines again. So here at cosine B, so finding angle B, so B squared minus A squared minus C squared over negative 2 AC. And again, take the inverse. You should get 71.05. Now, we're doing both inverse sine and inverse cosine, so make sure that you're paying attention which inverse that you're using here, okay, if you're switching back and forth. Now, once you find your two angles, you are welcome to subtract from 180. Okay, here's another one. You're given side angle side here. Once you put it on the triangle, okay, you're given side angle side. So here, anytime you're given side angle side, you're always going to end up finding the side that corresponds with the angle that you're given. So I'm given angle B, so that means I'm going to find angle B. Okay, so this is where we use the B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cosine of B. Again, there's a lot of calculator error that can happen in here. So make sure that your numbers are matching my numbers. If not, I can always Zoom with you and we can talk about your calculator input, or again, I'm going to make a video of that later this afternoon when I get my document cam back. Now, if you look, once you find B, it's 4.46. And if you notice in your side, you have all three sides now, you haven't found your largest angle yet, okay? Because your largest angle should correspond with A. And so you want to make sure and find your largest angle using law of cosines. Okay, so the cosine of A, and we get our largest angle to be 164.09. And then you can subtract from 180 to get your C. Again, I highly recommend do not switch to the law of sines until you have found your largest angle. Until you have found your largest angle. That's very important. Okay, the next one is just you can use law of sines or cosines depending on the information you're given. So the information you're given, you're given angle side angle. So that means that you can go straight to the law of sines. Okay, now, can you flop back and forth depending on what information you have? Yes, totally. Okay, for sure. So here we could take from 180, we could get C, and then we could set up the law of sines. Now, somebody asked about the pictures. You do not have to do the pictures, but sometimes it's just easier to see, okay? And it really doesn't matter how you label them as long as your angle is opposite your corresponding side. So it really doesn't matter. I always try to, if I have an obtuse angle like A, I always try to put it at the angle that looks obtuse. So in my mind, it works. And I'm feeling the need to talk with my hands today, okay? Okay. The next one. Okay, based on the information you're given, you have side angle side. So that means that you have to start with the law of cosines. Okay, for side angle side and side, you must start with law of cosines, and then you can switch to law of sines once you find the largest angle. But so they can go back and forth depending on what you're given. So again, side angle side, which means you're going to find the side that corresponds with the angle you're given. So you find C. Remember to take the square root because you're finding just C, not C squared. And then we have found our largest angle. 103 would be our largest angle. And so from there we can either switch to the law of sines if we want, or I went ahead and stuck with the law of cosines. Okay. So we would then want to switch to area of a triangle. And so we all learned in high school geometry, or even before that, that we can find the triangle, we can find the area of a triangle as 1/2 base times height. Okay. Now, we also have two other ways that we can find it using trigonometry. So the first one is using, if you have side angle side, you can do the area is equal to 1/2 times the product of the two legs times the sine of the angle between it. So in order to use this formula for area, you have to have side, angle, side. Okay, side, angle, side, that combination, two sides and the angle in between. So all three ways are given there. Okay, so for this one, again, you must have side, angle, side. So I'm given 92.5, I'm given 48.5, and I'm given the 8. So there I have angle, angle, side. Okay, so I don't have enough information to use it yet. So again, you can use the law of sines there, okay, to subtract from 180 and get your C, and then you can find side C. So you can use your law of sines and cosines to find the piece you need. And then you can use your side, angle, sine combination, okay, to substitute into the formula. Now, you could have found B over here, and that would have been perfectly fine. And then you would have used B, C, and then A, angle A. So it is feet squared. Remember that because it's area, it's units squared. So whatever your units are given, it's always going to be units squared. So make sure to label. Now, the last way that we can find area, and this doesn't have anything to do with trig. It has no trig involved. This one's just algebra. So it's used to find area when you're given three sides. So if you're given side, 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 you can find the area, and this is called Heron's theorem. So it's S, the square root of S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C, where A, B, and C are your sides. Now S, this is where you get S, the formula for S, A plus B plus C over 2. It is not an average, so do not divide by 3. That's a common mistake. It is divided by 2. Okay, so here's an example, finding your S, 11.5, and then substituting into the formula, taking the square root, and then you have 19.81 units squared. Because I didn't give you a unit over here, you could just write units squared. Okay, so your law of sines, law of cosines, and your area formulas are all on your green sheet, so you can refer to that. Encourage you to try some homework if you need it. And remember, you do have access to the ebook through WebAssign, so if you want to look at homework. You also have a quiz, 4.2 quiz on WebAssign that's opening up today, and it's due Friday, tomorrow by 11:59 p.m. So be sure to go in and do that. It is Easter weekend, and I know that Easter is going to look a little different for some people just because we're not with family and what we normally would do on Easter, but I hope you have a great weekend, and just happy Easter. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I don't mind setting up a Zoom meeting at all. So it was good to see you guys yesterday that I got to Zoom with, and I hope you guys are all doing okay. So have a great day.